Welcome back to the channel, guys. Let's get straight into today's story. When Britain sends its soldiers to war, there is supposed to be a sacred contract between the state and the armed forces. Politicians make the decisions, soldiers carry them out, and in return, the government provides everything these troops need to fight, survive, and come home alive. That contract was broken. During the height of Britain's involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan, British troops repeatedly reported critical shortages in basic equipment. Not luxury items, not upgrades, but essentials. Armoured vehicles, body armour, helicopters and counter-IED protection. The kinds of things that determine whether a patrol comes back intact or in coffins. At the centre of this failure sat Gordon Brown. Brown inherited wars he did not start, but he owned the responsibility of how they were conducted under his leadership. And what emerged again and again was a government that spoke loudly about supporting the troops while quietly failing to equip them. This isn't opinion, it's on the public record. Coroner's inquests, parliamentary committees and later the Chilcot inquiry all highlighted systematic failures in procurement, funding and urgency. Families of the fallen were forced to hear in courtrooms that their sons and daughters died in vehicles that were not fit for purpose, vehicles that had been repeatedly flagged as unsafe. Snatched Land Rovers became the symbol of that failure. Designed for patrols in Northern Ireland, they were deployed in some of the world's most dangerous environments on Earth, against sophisticated roadside bombs. Soldiers warned that they were death traps, commanders raised concerns, the wardens were known, and yet they stayed in service. Why? Because replacing them would have required political will, budgetary sacrifice, and a willingness to admit mistakes. And under Gordon Brown, those things were always in short supply. Brown's government was obsessed with appearances, with balancing books, with maintaining the illusion of fiscal competence. Defence was treated not as moral obligation, but as a cost centre to be managed. And while troops risked their lives daily, the Treasury dragged its feet. Requests for urgent equipment were delayed. Emergency procurement was resisted. Spending was pushed into future years. And when equipment finally arrived, it was often too late for those who had already paid the price. This wasn't about lack of money. Britain was spending billions elsewhere. It was about priorities, political priorities. Brown wanted to be seen as the serious steward of the economy. Tough on spending, cautious responsible. What that meant in practice was the human cost of delay was borne by soldiers, not politicians. And when families demanded answers, they were met with evasions. Ministers spoke of complex procurement processes, of lessons being learned, of operational challenges. But behind the bureaucratic language was a brutal reality. British troops were sent into danger without the best protection available, even when that protection existed. This failure corroded trust. Morale suffered, families lost faith, and the armed forces learned a bitter lesson, that loyalty was not always reciprocated by those in power. What makes this betrayal worse is that accountability never followed. No senior political figure resigned over equipment failures. No one was punished for the delays. No one faced consequences proportionate to the gravity of the outcome. Instead, responsibility was diffused across departments, committees and processes until it disappeared entirely. That is not leadership, that was cowardice. The political class closed ranks, while grieving families were left to fight for truth through the courts. Some won verdicts that confirmed their worst fears, that deaths were avoidable, that equipment failures mattered and warnings had gone unheeded. And still, no reckoning came. Gordon Brown has since recast himself as the moral voice in public life, a statesman, a man of conscience. But conscience is not demonstrated through speeches given years later. It is demonstrated through decisions made when lives are on the line. And on that measure, his record is indefensible. This is not about party politics, this is about duty. Any government that sends men and women into war without doing absolutely everything possible to protect them has failed at the most basic level. The armed forces kept their side of the bargain. They showed courage, discipline and sacrifice. The government did not. And until Britain is willing to confront that failure honestly, to name it, remember it and learn from it, the promise "we support our troops" will remain just that, a slogan, not a guarantee. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want more honest political commentary and don't want to miss out what's really happening behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below.